Is the crypto market still correlated with the stock market, or has that correlation broken down? And is this relief rally from Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market likely to continue into August, or has it run its course? Hey everyone, hope you're having a great week so far. Justin here with Crypto Academy, and in today's video, we're going to take a look at the crypto market against the stock market to determine whether they're still correlated and what that could mean for cryptos in August. Furthermore, I'll share some key levels I'm watching for Bitcoin and my thoughts on where crypto goes here over the next few weeks. So the very first thing we need to do is take a look at the S&P 500 against Bitcoin to determine if they are still correlated. Now, I know that a lot of people would say, why are you using the S&P 500 instead of the NASDAQ? But the truth is the two are very correlated. So regardless of which one you use, you're going to find that it does follow the crypto market, fairly well. So looking here at the S&P 500 in blue, we have Bitcoin in orange. You can see that right off the bat, all of 2022, they are still very correlated. Now, you can have a few days or even a week where they start to kind of separate a little bit, and move separately. However, for the most part, they still are very, very connected. So looking here recently, and this is something to note, is we've seen the S&P 500 in blue here outpace crypto. Okay, so we really haven't seen the same higher highs from Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market, or especially Bitcoin, as we have from US stocks. And this is something to note because it means that crypto is still relatively weak. Now, with that said, you can see that they are still very correlated though, in the sense that every time that the stock market pulls back, we get a pullback from crypto, and the same thing with each of these rallies. Okay, so if we can figure out where the S&P 500 is likely to go, then we can also determine where crypto is likely to go. So with that in mind, if we take a look at the S&P 500, this is a very clean chart, and this is something that I've been talking about now for weeks, where this market broke out from this descending channel back here on this candle. Okay, now at the same time, it also cleared 3,900, which was a key level here for the market. So you can see where it was resistance back here, the S&P 500 closed above it, and we got the retest as new support just before FOMC. Now, ever since that last FOMC, the S&P 500 has been on the move higher. We've seen this massive higher high now compared to this one right back here. And this is what I mean when I say that right now, US stocks look stronger than Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin is kind of lagging the markets. Now that doesn't mean that it has to stay that way, because we could see Bitcoin really take off here over the coming days. But for right now, the stock market is so far outpacing crypto. So what does the S&P 500 need to do to move higher? Well, very simply, it needs to close above this area anywhere between 4140 and all the way up here to about 4200. So you can see back here, this area was resistance, or I'm sorry, support back here, support once again, and then we have resistance through here. So really the S&P 500 needs to close a day above 4200 or so to flip this area into support. Okay, now right now the market is finding resistance here. You can see that so far this week, we did get a little bit of a minor pullback, although the market is right back to that level. Okay, so we got a minor pullback here on the 4-hour chart. However, the market is right back to testing that resistance area. But a close above this, a daily close above this, is going to be critical. A 4-hour close is not going to cut it. We need to see at least a daily close. A weekly close would be even better. Now, if that can happen, then we're likely to see the S&P 500 come up here toward about 4,300, okay, and test these highs from all the way back here in May. So if that were to happen, from current levels, we're looking at, another 4% higher. Now, 4% higher might not sound like a lot for those in crypto, but if the S&P 500 were to move about 4 or 5% higher, that would probably translate to at least a 10 to 15% rally from Bitcoin. Okay, so that's notable. It's something to keep in mind. Now, alternatively, the alternative scenario for the S&P 500 would be a rejection from this area, or maybe we get a close above and then that becomes a fake out up here, and a close back inside of this ascending channel. Okay, because this to me right now is going to be kind of a must hold level now that we've seen the breakout to the upside. So that's the alternate scenario where we get a close back below this level, which opens up 4,000 and potentially 3,900 once again, and that would put pressure on the crypto market. Now, my personal thoughts on the S&P 500 is that we do get a move at least up here toward about 4,200 before we see the market rotate lower. And in fact, I would not be surprised at all to see a move up above this area, whether we see 4,300 or not. We'll have to wait and see, but I do think that we'll see at least a move up here toward about 4,200, maybe just above it, before we see a strong rejection. Okay. And that's just because at the moment we are seeing these higher highs and higher lows. And a lot of times when you get this kind of a move from stocks, the market likes to overshoot these levels. Okay. So, I'm thinking at least 4,200 before we start to see a stronger rejection, maybe even above that area, for some type of fake out up here above this region. Okay. So what that could mean for the crypto market, let's take a look at total here quickly. So this is an area that I talked about last week. If you saw Friday's video, 1.05 trillion was the level to hold above. Now, this level so far is holding on a daily closing basis. And what that means is that the market has been closing above this at 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay, we have not seen an 8 p.m. Eastern close back below 105. In fact, I even talked about that in a video yesterday here on YouTube. So really, if the market can hold above this area on a daily closing basis, then I do think that the area right around $1.15 trillion is going to be next. Now, the alternative would, of course, be a daily close back below not only 1.05, but also below this area down here around 1.035. Okay, that's the lower boundary of the current support level here for the total crypto market cap. So a close below that, we're looking at a move down here towards some of these recent lows, maybe like around $985 billion. But again, if the market can hold up here, and especially close like this today, because this looks like a pretty bullish candle so far today, if the market can close like this, then in my opinion, I do think we see over the coming days that move up toward about 1.15 trillion. All right, now let's take a look lastly at Bitcoin and see what's happening here. So obviously a very sideways market at the moment. And this is kind of what I mean when I say that this market hasn't really performed as well as the stock market. We've seen higher highs from the S&P 500. And even though we've seen a slight higher high from Bitcoin here, the market really hasn't been able to clear this area up here right around 24,200. All right, now at the moment, you can see where Bitcoin is bouncing from 23,000. This has been a must hold level for the market ever since it closed up here. So during this pullback, I would expect the market to find some support as it is right now from about 23. Now, one other thing I want to show you is if we look at the volume profile for BTC, you can see that it looks very similar to what we saw recently. Okay, so we saw Bitcoin pull back during this period, and at the same time, we saw the volume start to trail off. Now, same thing, we got the rally, and now we've had the pullback, and look what's happened to the volume. The volume has once again started to trail off as the market's pulling back, and this is a sign that sellers are becoming exhausted. Okay, there's not a lot of sell pressure down here at this swing low. Okay, so here's how I would look to play Bitcoin, and this is not financial advice, but these are my own personal thoughts on this market. If we look here at the 4-hour chart, okay, we have a potential local bottom being put in today if the market can hang on to 23,000 and put in a bullish rejection candle. Now, the safest way, or the safer way, I should say, to play this is going to be to wait for a reclaim of this area up here right around 23,450. This is going to be absolutely critical for Bitcoin because you can see that the market recently dropped below it here, and over the past 24 hours, this has been resistance. Okay, so we need to see, even look at the current 4-hour candle, you can see that the high here is 23,453. So this area up here is going to be critical to where if we see Bitcoin close back above this on at least a 4-hour candle, then this down here becomes the fake out, and we likely get that push back toward about 24,200. Okay, so that's what I would be looking for from Bitcoin. Now, obviously the alternative to that is if we look at the daily chart, if this fails and we see a late day sell-off, or even tomorrow closes below 23, then we're looking at about 22,400. And the reason these levels are so close together like this is simply because, as I said, the market is just very sideways. All right, but with that said, we do still have a short-term uptrend, and we have to respect that. Because right now, I know that a lot of the retail crowd is thinking that this rally fails any day now. However, I personally think that we do see the crypto market continue higher, maybe for one last leg before we get that rotation lower. All right, and for Bitcoin, if we do see the total crypto market cap come up here and test this area right around 1.15 trillion, okay, that could very well equal a move for Bitcoin up here to about mid 25,000. Okay, so right around 25,500, this would be kind of my target if we do see the market reclaim this area up here and also close above 24,200. That's going to be critical as well. But ultimately, I would, be very careful trying to get bearish on this market until we see total crypto market cap come up here to 1.15, and also the S&P 500 come up at least to about 4,200, maybe even above that area. So I think that right now is the wrong time to get bearish on these markets. We are seeing some exhaustion from sellers. The market's come into some serious support here. And I do think we're going to see one more leg higher before the market starts to roll over again. All right, so I hope you found this content helpful. If you did, be sure to subscribe to the channel, click that bell icon for notifications, and I will talk to you all again tomorrow.